explaining what a negative yes, no question. So negative yes, no questions, okay? What are they? They're yes, no questions, but they have a negative helping verb, So, for example, what do they look like, okay? They have a helping verb, right? Helping verb plus the subject plus the main verb, okay? And then the rest of the question, but you have to be careful because right here it has to be negative, okay? All right, so for any helping verb, what are the helping verbs? Do you remember? Okay, so be, so am is are. Okay, can, could, will, would. All those modals, right? Do, somebody said do. What about? So do or does. Have, has,
May,
had, yeah. May, might. These are all helping verbs, right? Should,
would, shall, no
shall. Yeah, I'm not going to write them all down. I just want you to get the idea. We use these ones. When do we use these ones? As a helping verb?
Before main verb.
Yeah, when do we use these ones? We studied them.
Yes.
Present perfect and past perfect. When do we use these ones?
For present,
When the verb
Question.
is not have, when the verb is not be, when we don't have a helping verb, we definitely need this as a helping verb. Okay, and we use be when we want to make progressives, right? And passives, okay? We use these as modals. So we have lots of helping verbs in English. Let me give you some examples of this kind of question, okay?
orange you.
Question. Aren't you from here? Okay, so it's the helping verb, right? Plus negative, plus the subject, and then the rest of the sentence, right? This one doesn't have a main verb. Why doesn't it have a main verb? Because the verb is be. So sometimes with the be verb, we are not going to have a main verb. We only have a main verb with be when it's progressive. For example, okay, aren't you studying at my house today? Aren't you studying at my house today? We have the helping verb, we have the negative, we have the subject, we have the main verb now, because now we are using progressive, so we have to have a main verb, and then we have the rest of the sentence, okay? Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm making negative yes, no questions. Let's try one with the present perfect, have or has. Haven't you studied this? Haven't, negative, subject, main verb. Haven't you studied this? Okay. Let's do one more. Let's do one with do, okay? Let's use the verb like grammar. Let's say like grammar.
Don't you like grammar?
Okay, yeah. Don't
You like grammar?
you like grammar?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Okay, don't you like grammar? So we have helping verb, it's negative, subject, and the main verb, okay? All of these are negative, right? Okay? Now, what else do you notice about them? This is push together.
Attraction.
Yep.
Contraction.
We have an apostrophe. This is a contraction. This is a contraction. This one's a contraction. That one's a contraction. when we make negative yes/no questions, we almost always use contractions right here. Okay, this part is almost always a contraction. Okay, so let me write that. It's almost always this part, a contraction. Contraction. That means you have to use that apostrophe, right? Right? So when I want to say do not, it becomes
Don't.
don't. The apostrophe represents a missing letter. That's what it is, right? Okay? When I want to say will not, it becomes won't. When I want to say has not, it becomes hasn't. Okay, so always use, almost always, most of the time, use a contraction for the beginning. Aren't you? Aren't you? Haven't you? Don't you? Okay? We don't say, do you not? It just doesn't flow. It's possible, but it's not common, and I'm trying to teach you what's common. This is very functional for speaking. Okay? All of this is good for speaking. Okay? We don't usually write like this in school because school is more academic. This is more conversation. Okay? All right. Now, okay, so let's talk about when or what and how. When do we use this form, right? When do we use negative yes/no questions? Two uses, okay? Two things. One, the first reason we use it is to check, yeah, that something we believe, right, is true. I already believe something. I think I know, but I need to check first, okay? So, for example, okay. Can I use your, okay. So you can see, she has an almost empty water bottle. So I think I know something about her. And I think I know she was thirsty today, maybe, okay? So I could say, weren't you thirsty? Weren't you thirsty, right? So I make a negative yes/no question because I already know the answer. I believe it's true, and I just want to check that it's true. But maybe her friend drank it, or maybe she gave some of that water to the flowers that are growing everywhere right now, right? So maybe she didn't drink it. So I don't know for sure, but I'm almost sure. So I say, weren't you thirsty today, right? Okay.
Didn't you thirsty?
Yeah, weren't you thirsty today? Weren't you?
Where?
Weren't you thirsty? That's a negative yes/no question, okay? Or another example, Nona's wearing a jacket. So I can say, aren't you cold? Aren't you cold? Right? I'm pretty sure because she's wearing a jacket, right? So I'm making it negative because it's my way of asking a question that I think I already know the answer to. It's very different. It's very different when you say, are you cold? This is very different. This is a yes/no question. I really don't know the answer. Are you cold? Yes or no. Okay? But aren't you cold means I already think I know, right? Okay? Yeah, so, and sometimes people ask these questions and they're being very mean, right? So they don't understand what you're saying. Maybe they say, what? I don't understand you. Can't you, what do they say? They say, can't you
Repeat. Speak louder.
Can't
Speak
you
louder.
speak
Slowly.
English? They say. No, nobody would really say that, right? But they might say, I know you do because you're talking to me right now, but I don't understand what you're saying. Can't you speak? Can't you speak English, right? It's negative because they already know, right? But if you say, can you speak English? That's very different. That means I really don't know, right?
That means you're talking to someone stranger.
Yeah, I don't know you. I haven't talked to you. Yes or no? Can you speak English? Yes or no? This one, I already know you do. Can't you speak English? Right? Okay.
So for the first part, you already know.
Yeah. So when you already know the answer, right, then you can use a negative yes/no question to confirm. Like this book, right? Isn't it expensive? Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it expensive? Right? Okay. Those air conditioners, aren't they annoying? Right?
Yes, they are.
Okay. The bathrooms over there outside,
Isn't it?
aren't they dirty?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
So, okay, how about if you're writing, I'm reading your writing and I see mistakes with simple past, then I'm going to ask you, haven't we studied this? Haven't we studied this? That's my way of saying, I know you know it, and I know you know it. Tell me that you know it, right? I'm using a negative, okay? So the second time, okay, when do we use it? We use it to do this, but we also do just small talk, right? Do you guys know what small talk is?
No.
Or like comment?
No.
Comments. Small talk is when, you know, you're in the elevator and it's really awkward. You can look up, or you can say,
Isn't it a nice day?
isn't it nice? The weather, isn't it great? You can start talking, right? That's small talk. It's just silly conversation, right? Okay, so one very common thing is, isn't it nice today? Isn't it nice? That's a negative yes/no question because I'm here, you're here, we can see the weather. I know you know it's nice, so I'm just trying to talk to you, right? Yeah. Okay? So we do it for both of those things. Now, how do you answer these questions? That's the question. That's the hardest question. How do you answer that? Isn't it nice today?
Yes.
No, it's not. Yes, what? How do you? Yes, it. No.
I think so.
Okay. So answer it just like a regular yes/no question. So if I said, "Is it nice today?" Is it nice today? You say yes, it's nice, right? Yes, it is. Or you can say no, it isn't. So same thing here. Isn't it nice today? If it's nice, then you say yes, it is. If it's not nice, you say no, it isn't. Okay, I know in most languages that's the opposite. That's why it's confusing. All right? So, isn't it nice today? Wait, it's negative. What do you mean? Just answer it like this, okay? So, yes, it is nice. Yes, it is nice. Or you could just say, uh-huh. You could just say, uh-huh. Can you do it? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also small talk. Uh-huh. It's nice. Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. So here, let's practice answering this. Yes, I was thirsty. I was thirsty, right? So, weren't you thirsty? So how do you answer?
Yes, I was.
Yes, I was. Okay. Can't you speak English? And the answer is yes, I can. Okay. So make sure your short answer, you have to have the modal, right? It has to be the same helping verb or modal, yeah. So haven't we studied this? Yes. We have. Yes, we have. Yeah. Well, of course, can be formal and informal. I don't mind. I just want you guys to
Can
speak
we use
English.
I can remember?
What? Can you what?
Can we write that in the test?
No. This is purely conversational. Yeah.